There was a clamor on Monday for the inclusion of domestic workers in the new national minimum wage of 70,000 naira. And senators and the National Council of Women's Society, they made the call in Abuja at a public hearing on a bill for an act to provide for domestication and registration of domestic workers and employers in Nigeria, organized by the Senate Committee on Labor, Employment and Productivity. Now, the bill was sponsored by Senator Babangida Hussaini, that's the APC Jigawa Northwest. The committee, which is chaired by Senator Dike Plan, APC Plateau Central, took submissions from several stakeholders. Making his contribution, Senator Osita, that's the APC Imo West, recommended that 70,000 naira be included in the bill as the minimum wage for domestic workers. Now, he stated that as a member of this committee that he feels strongly, part of the provisions that feels strongly that part of the provision should be included in this bill is to include domestic workers, be they housemaids, servants, or whatever. They should be included in the proposed 70,000 naira minimum wage. But let's not forget that there was a time when this minimum wage argument was on, and then we heard some lawmakers saying, I can't pay my driver 200 and what thousand naira. Right? Even some Nigerians were complaining. In fact, some companies have not even started paying their staff. Now, we're not even talking about the domestic staff now. Their staff, even the 70,000 naira, some companies pay less than that. So talking about including domestic staff in the 70,000 naira minimum wage, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, it's a good thing, first of all, that the minimum wage have stepped up. It has improved from what it used to be, and even though the protest and advocacy for labor did not absolutely get it the way they wanted, and that's the beauty of dialogue. It mustn't end the way you want it. At least the 70,000 naira, not that it can solve all the economic problems of the recipient, both the domestic workers and what have you, but at least it's much more better than what they used to have. Okay. I'd like to commend Senator Osita Zuna, so I know him very well. He's a man that has a good heart for lending voice towards that arrangement. Is a good one. Now, you see, part of what we need to be taking into consideration is for us to understand that workers are workers in Nigeria. Workers are citizens of Nigeria, irrespective of the kind of job you are doing. Workers are not slaves. Workers are helpers. Workers are supporters, because nobody can actually do everything for himself. So if you have workers, treat them as helpers. Don't treat them as slaves. Don't treat them as people who life should not be comfortable with. Give them the very best and comfort you can. Again, most of these advanced countries, though we are here to get there, if we're on the lane or on the track, workers are paid the same way. If it is 2 hours you work, you know what the law have stipulated. So there is no argument of whether you should be paid or not. So it's a statutory arrangement. And that's why it looks as if motivation, the morale of those who workers, is very high. Because
outside the country?
Yes, outside Nigeria. Okay. Yes, that's why I said developed countries. So if you work for 2 hours and you have social amount of money, it's not about a monthly minimum wage. So if you know every work you do, you're going to earn 20K, the next you can finish that work, go to another work. Now it killed the mentality of slavery. Why we so much, the monthly salary is a slavery mentality. whereby you must be held bound in a particular place
For a month.
for a period of months, and thereby it affects economic growth. So I think as we develop as a nation, we have to borrow leave from developed countries.
So we should look at working within hours, the hourly payments.
Yeah, it will give more efficiency. It will give more result. It will kill slavery mentality in employment. So I think we'll get to that point, to that phase. And I know most of us, because we're already used to the African kingship mentality, where we need people to work for us to feel like kings. You need 10 drivers, you need a cook, you need this and that and that and that. But for instance, in United States of America, it's only, you should know why you need a driver.
So you think we don't know why we need drivers before we get them?
Here is because you have 3, 4, 5 drivers for the sake of convoy, simply because you want to feel like a king, and because we are not really giving our citizens the very best to enable us not to be afraid, for the act of insecurity. If not, why will you be using 10, 15, 20 drivers at a time, each time you move?
Okay, let's look at the minimum wage now, the 70,000 naira benchmark, and then domestic workers, as it has been stated in this story. I remember the tripartite committee that had all of these conversations had private business owners involved in that discussion. It simply means that private businesses are also included in this conversation.
Yes.
So let's look at the ease of doing business in Nigeria and all of these challenges that business owners usually encounter that makes their turnout to be low. And then now saying they should pay even their domestic workers 70,000 naira. That means that if the domestic workers are paid 70,000 naira, it means, there's hierarchy in every organization. So the other workers will be paid more. Now, the question I'm trying to ask is, do you think these people would be able to afford to pay, a lot of businesses actually, whether they'll be able to afford to pay their domestic workers 70,000 naira without things changing, the challenges that they are facing, the basic things that should be provided like lights and all of those things not being provided? Will they be able to pay the domestic workers and still make profit from the business, 70,000 naira?
Yes, business is in different levels, and nobody compels you to engage multiple staffs that you can't take care of. I know that we have wicked, CEOs who believe that those who work for them, who work around them, are slaves, so they don't deserve a very quality life. We also have CEOs who are nice, that even with that salary you are going to earn, before the end of the month, you even have much more than the salary. So we have still CEOs who have the heart of a kind heart, as if it were. I would like to say that the fact that 70,000 minimum wage has been passed, CEOs, let us not now kill our staffs with work. Because
but you just said if you cannot afford to have a lot of staff, that means you are saying that some people should reduce their staff, their workforce.
No, I'm talking from experience.
I mean, a lot of people will do the job. The few people that they have, if they reduce their hands, the few people they have will definitely do the job.
No, most times as business owners, our primary focus is profits. And then what our staffs get is very minimal, very low from our profits. Because every CEO wants to live a very comfortable life. So that's why I said that most CEOs do not see their staffs as human beings that deserves a good life, because they want to generate money for their much, exotic lives. So, but where you have the heart of hospitality, you understand that those who work for you are really the reason why you are making money. So they deserve to be taken care of. So my plea is that One, if you know you cannot afford the 70,000, what most CEO does, because of these laws, they don't give most staffs appointment letters. That's the secret why you don't have appointment
letters.
Them
appointment letters.
Yes, because it's that appointment letter that you can use to pursue any of the injustice in courts. But if you are working for me, you don't have appointment letter, there's no record that you are my staff. I'm telling you from experience, I know that. So ask most people who are working for most of these companies, they have no appointment letter. So they just test you or come and start. You start. They agree with you orally how much you'll be paid. So when the month ends, you go and you collect your pay. So even if you want to you want to fight for your right as a worker, you have no document to file. So CEOs, these are part of the smartness against the poor workers. So I like to appeal on the moral ground that look at your business. I'm not saying that you must, because the business must grow for you to be able. Most of the times, government do not consider entrepreneurs as business owners and coming up with laws and bills.
Do you think they were considered in this particular law?
The agitation on this particular minimum wage was driven by government workers now, labor. So labor is of the opinion that government can generate these resources to pay.
What about, that's what I'm asking you now, the private business owners, do you think they were duly considered in this law?
Who will consider the private business owners? If the consideration will only be to see those who are working for government, like Total and Shell, Ajip, who are still benefiting from government directly. So it's not like a common man who start maybe a gas plant.
You made a statement,
yes,
and that's what led to this question.
Yes.
You said some of these government policies that the entrepreneurs are not considered.
Very, very well now.
Yes, and then I'm asking you, this particular one, even though we say that it was labor that started the whole clamor, at the end of the day, wasn't it the president who mentioned the minimum wage? Wasn't it the government?
That's what we are saying.
That's what I'm saying now. I'm asking a question. In this particular law, do you see the private business owners being considered, saying that we should pay 70,000 as minimum wage?
The understanding of private owners, private business owners in the sight of government are like Total, Ajip, Dangote.
So SMEs are not considered?
Those of us who are into small scale businesses, the government don't see you as a business man now. So if they are talking about CEOs that runs multi-billion naira companies, that's where they are looking at. So not somebody whose business is within the range of 800,000, 600,000.
You're the one making that distinction.
No.
We never heard the government make that distinction.
No, I'm speaking from experience. If I have a business that worth 400,000 naira, there are business owners like that. We have business owners who have their business worth 200,000. So I'm going to engage a worker and I will pay you 70,000. If you consult me, I will simply tell you that, sir, we cannot pay. But because government will not consult such kind of low-level business owner. Initially, I told you that we have different levels of business owners, right? And that can pay. Some can pay. Some cannot pay.
And you said the people who cannot pay, they should not take more hands in. That's what you said.
No. That's.
So we're not talking about SMEs.
No, I'm appealing. It is a general appeal so that they don't overpressure the workers. But I also tell you from the back door that they still engage the number of hands they want and desire, because Nigerians are suffering. People are looking out for any little thing to survive.
Do you expect someone who has a business of 200,000, like you have said, to pay workers 70,000?
So good. So do you now also expect that poor Nigerian who cannot feed and they want to offer him 30,000 naira to say no? The answer is he will say no, but the CEO of that company knows the law. He will not give him the appointment letter, because if you give him appointment letter, it becomes illegal to sue for his right of 70,000 naira. I know that even the former minimum wage, like I told you for free, that all the minimum wage that government have passed, That's the reason why CEOs no longer, many, give their staffs appointment later.
Because of the previous minimum wage.
And maybe your own boss is a nice man. He will give you people appointment later.
Well, I'm just wondering how businesses that are worth that amount, like you have made the benchmark and explanation, 200,000, would then pay workers
It's not possible.
Pay workers
it's not visible.
70,000 naira.